Welcome to Steer Nova Comic Podcast, episode 25. We've got Matthew Myers back with us. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. Greg, introduce
good to be
yourself.
back.
I'm Greg. I'm a writer, creator, co-founder of Steer Nova. And that's Dylan, the other crazy person.
And I'm Dylan. I'm like the tech guy and chief editor. Editor-chief. There we go. And Matt, who are you? Tell everybody who you are.
I'm a comic book writer, creator, producer, stuck in quarantine at the moment, like everybody else. So I've been working on a script for with you guys for Chronicles of Horror, and almost finished. I'll have it done this week. Thought it would be a nice addition to what you guys are doing and stick with the same theme.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a different direction.
Is that the one that you're trying to break a record for? Or trying to figure that out if you're breaking a record?
Yeah, I'm trying to write a horror anthology with a bunch of short stories, and I have a lot of people that are interested in it. And what I wanted to do was break a record for the most horror authors involved in one book. And when I talked with Guinness about it, you lose your headphones?
Yep.
I don't even have mine today because the cat chewed them up playing with them. I was trying to get Guinness to recognize it, and they're not they're not going to recognize it as a record. So I kind of recruited a whole bunch of people, had about 40 authors that were interested initially, and I went back and sent everybody a message and let them know that still, if you're still interested in doing this, let me know. But I don't know if we're going to be able to have it recognized as a record like initially planned. But I've had a real overwhelming response from everyone because I think that everybody right now is writing and they want to be involved in something. So it's going to happen. Not sure what we're going to call it yet, but I had some artwork, and years ago when I was thinking about doing this, I wanted to call it the Pandemic Collection, and it just seems so fitting now to be able to do it that way.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. I was going to say you could label it Guinness won't recognize us.
Right.
The book with too many authors, so Guinness didn't want to handle it.
Yeah, it's
you can still promote it.
That you could take a whole bunch of like authors or stories from other authors, and if it's public domain, you could put it all together. I think that's the issue. Like, you could take a whole bunch of stories that aren't owned by an estate by people who aren't alive anymore, and I specified I wanted living, actual working authors, but they sent me the rejection letter and rejection email. So it was something that I don't know if I'm going to be able to recognize, but I'm gonna try to.
You should put that rejection email, make it look like a cartoon, and put it in the front page.
That could be the title of the book. Rejected by
That's what I mean. Like, cause if you try to, because you could research it yourself and see if there's any record for it, and if there isn't, you can just, once you get a number you believe is large enough, you could just claim that you've gotten it, and the only thing that can happen is someone can prove you wrong, which that will automatically promote the book.
Yeah, that's kind of like when you copyright something and you mail a letter to yourself. It doesn't necessarily hold up in court, but it will hold up for enough recognition that I'd be able to call it that, especially if I'm going to publish it myself.
Nice.
So that's what we're working on now. The Marbles the Cat campaign that we talked about before, it was launched. We had a goal of $2,100, and we made it to $1,400 and some change. And it was cooking. It came out of the gate at $600 the first weekend. It was going. And then as soon as the Facebook bans came through for sharing, it just stalled. Yeah, it was. I mean, the same thing happened with Greg, and it's something that we're trying to figure out of relaunching. And now with all this going on, we don't know when the right opportunity is going to present itself to relaunch with everybody being out of work. So.
Yeah, there's
I don't
actually a
know.
couple. There's actually a couple Kickstarters
might do it when
that are
people
working.
stimulus check. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple Kickstarters that are still like doing pretty good, even though like nobody has a job.
Right.
A few. Yeah. Burlap from Covenant Comics. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
I backed it, but because I'm one of the only people that have a job. But not to throw that in your face. Because I don't want to. Actually, I would like to stay home and work on this and only this. But yeah. So it's like a horror series, and so far they have 4 issues that are like ready or almost ready to be like put
Right.
out to the world. Yeah, let me read the first 2, and they're like amazing. There's like little nods to like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is good stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, the stimulus checks are supposed to come at some point. So
That could be the time. We pretty much I want to look to where we're all out of Facebook jail and to do it within parameters of when other people aren't launching, or one of us doesn't have another current project launch too.
well,
That's the other thing, because
we
you
could
guys got the game coming and everything
well,
else.
the game is now going to be like September-ish because it worked last year in September, and it's just a good time because it's before the holidays. So
Right.
and that's enough time to give Scott to like help develop the game. What is that? A plane? And I asked him actually yesterday. I was like, "Oh, like, have you been working on the game? Like, I know, like, I think he still has to go to work, even though I don't know what he's doing there. Like, there's no kids there. Um, so he's like, "Oh yeah, I just did like a waypoint thing. He made the waypoint marker, and he just made like an effect that I didn't even ask him to do. It's like this comic book page flip. So when it goes to another scene, it does this like comic page flip type effect.
Oh wow.
The next scene, yeah. I'm like, oh wow, he's doing like everything. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. I've been reading a lot of digital comics, being stuck inside all the time, and I think that more services for offering them subscription based are going to come out of this, because it's a shame what's happening to the stores. I mean, with Diamond Distribution collapsing, which is going to be a good thing for indie creators and producers in the long run. But I mean, a lot of stores are shutting down too, and that's not good at all.
Yeah. That's same with like conventions. There's like people saying that it might be like the end of like conventions, like San Diego Comic Con and stuff. Because this year, I don't think they're going to do one because they're using that building as like as like one of those like hospitals that like the Javits Center in New York. They're turning that into like a hospital.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that place is huge.
yeah. So I don't think any of those are happening this year, but there's still people like Saratoga Comic Con around here. Like they haven't said anything about them closing yet, which is insane. But
Right. The people are finding different ways to adapt. They're still, figuring it out. This came from out of nowhere and just affected everybody in so many different ways. I mean, with me, it was I was I was leaving one job to go into another, and I had multiple job offers for better positions. And then when everything happened with the state shutting down and everything, I mean, one of the bars was that I worked in. I mean, that I was applying at was revamping their entire brand and opening and looking for a new manager. And I wound up getting stuck in the middle of all this and fighting with the state for unemployment and everything else. I mean, it's been rough, but something good has to come out of this, and hopefully, I mean, it's going to eventually recover. I think the comic world will adapt to new and different ways, and people are definitely writing and creating right now. So if they're not launching Kickstarter projects, I know they're at least working on something. And once everything gets back to somewhat normal, I think a lot of good products are going to come out of this.
yeah, I finally started working on getting issue 2 for the Seer Chronicles out, so I can't
Nice.
wait for that. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I forgot to mention to you, I got your comics the other day.
Is there anything
I
wrong
saw
with them?
that the package was from you, and then I had to run out to the store quick, so I threw them up in the cabinet, and then I got them out last night and read it. Really awesome.
Oh, thanks.
I read the digital copies, but it was nice to see it, printed
Yeah,
out.
actually,
A
like
whole
holding
different
it.
thing.
Yeah. Which one did you like better, Ink or the Seer Chronicles?
I liked them both, but I liked Seer Chronicles because I thought that it was the story flowed really well and it was set up. It was a lot of structure to it. Not that Ink didn't have it, but Ink seemed to move in a different pace. Both of them are good.
Yeah.
Good writing, good art. It fit really well. That's just my opinion. But I enjoyed all of it. It was good stuff.
Yeah, Ink was definitely an oddball because I think we had that one drawn before any of the text was edited. So, because I only started going through heavily editing these things after we had already made the first comic, and
Right.
so we had to do a lot of like changes. Like for Ink, there's a bunch of stuff that was like left out of the written story in the panels that weren't made clear, and so
Right.
like we made like a big shift and made it very narrative, where it had like all those narration boxes in the beginning, so that you kind of get into his head, so you can understand more what's going on. So it does move at a very different pace. I agree. It's
also it's only 11, 12 pages. So
yeah.
Right.
But
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed the other one more. But it's all good stuff. I think this game is going to be a big hit too, man. And that's
yeah, that's why I was
I like
hoping
the
to
idea
do.
of throwing marbles to cat up in the tree to have an Easter egg in the game. That was
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Just being able, I mean, like we were talking about the one day, one of my favorite things to do in Grand Theft Auto was to steal that fire truck. I would be ignoring all missions because I'm going around spraying the hose, crashing it into stuff, and it's just a lot of fun to play. And I think that being able to do quests and different things in a free roam game inside of this comic universe is something for one that other than there's so many Batman games and stuff out there, but I haven't seen or heard of a game that was based on an indie comic before, and I think this is going to attract a lot of attention, and places that write coverage about comics and stuff are definitely going to be covering it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to grow your subscription platform, and it's going to be a lot of fun to play. I know I'll be on there.
Yeah, I'll pay for the subscription. I don't care. Yeah, it was actually supposed to launch tomorrow, but because of all of this,
Right.
didn't happen. So
It's like the world was put on hold.
yeah, it's like Earth just closed today.
Right.
yeah, I've seen that the Tony Stark memes.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's closed today.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically picking a time to relaunch Marbles to Cat when everything, because I know we'll make the goal. We just got stalled out for other reasons, and but there was other people that helped me push my first project that were they're sharing other stuff, and then they're constantly getting banned in Facebook groups for sharing. But I mean, how are you supposed to get the comic in front of people when you're not sharing in these comic groups? That's what they're there for. I don't understand why it's a problem. I love looking at new projects that are coming out. Whether pledging it or to it or not, if it's a cool idea and I like it, I'm definitely going to share it with other people.
Do you know how many people looked at your video on Kickstarter? Did you ever look at the analytics for that?
No, I didn't.
Because I was wondering maybe my shitty video that I did.
I mean, it was good. It was better than what I made because you helped me with it. I couldn't. I'm not good with video software, but my artist Scott sent me he made like a 10-second video of using panels that he has completed since because the project's still moving forward. He's still doing art, and there's still panels being made. What he's doing, or what he did, was just put together like almost a live action video for it. So we might go with that, and use one of them for marketing purposes or whatever. And there'll be more sharing, and we'll just when we relaunch, we'll just have a different strategy than we had before to make sure it's successful.
I would use, I know you don't have money really, but Facebook ads, like $10, $15.
I thought about it, and it's like, when you have so many people sharing, you get the same response. But I mean, if they're going to ban me from sharing, I might not have a choice. That's why I didn't use them before on my previous project.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why they ban you from sharing so much because they want you to pay for those ads. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you could manually reach your whole audience, then you don't need to pay them. So
Right.
instead of spamming everyone, why don't you pay us and we'll spam them?
Yeah, pretty much. So the monopoly. You know, we control Facebook, so well, I mean they control
Yeah.
Facebook, so
It
they're
sucks.
gonna say, you know, you're right. So that'll definitely be
Yeah, honestly, I would probably just target like a couple, like, you know, probably 10 to 20 groups, and then just have, you know, if you have more than one person, then have each person. Actually, probably just 10. I wouldn't even hit 20. 20 is probably like where that limit starts to get you blocked. But
right,
I would have as many people as you know just connect with 10 different Facebook groups sharing that post, and then
right.
that take out something like, yeah, like a $10 ad that's just a reach ad so people see it, or a what's it called? Uh,
Sponsored ads. Or
yeah,
not, well, that's what they come up as.
yeah.
I'm not sure boosting or
There's a specific ad where it'll show it to the same people to try to get them to remember it.
Yeah.
right.
With it though, but yeah, there's ads like that. I do Facebook ads for like business stuff. That's why.
Yeah. Spinwiz
Oh, nice.
Comics, Jeff Palumbo, Spinwiz Comics. He just made an ad. I think it's just on Instagram. I don't think I saw it on Facebook, but he like tagged us in it. And he tagged like a million other people that are actually like on his platform, like publishers.
Right.
And it's like some crazy deal. It's almost like giving a bunch of the comics for free because they're already like most of them are already free. But like if you do like a certain subscription thing on there, you get like way more free. And then there's other like packages and other stuff that he gives away.
Right.
We don't have anything else to really offer right now besides you can listen to our podcast for free and all those comics are on there for free. But
Right.
yeah, there's that one tier subscription thing that I'm trying to build up, and I think if I can get enough people like involved, then that would be a very good thing to do.
Right. Yeah, the pre-Kickstarter giveaway, I'm seeing more and more of. I think people are realizing it works. It's a good idea too. I mean, all you got to do is give them your email, and you got a chance to win something. And then you get one email from them that the Kickstarter launched, just to remind you to go to it. And you know, it's not constant spamming or anything. It's just, you know, a really good project. But I also like the idea of getting like 5 or 6 people to post to, you know, 2 groups a day. You'll stay under the radar with that, and then combine that with a couple Facebook ads. Should be all right.
Yeah, and
I
then
mean, we did 1,400 without it. There's no reason why I can't get 2,100 with it.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. There we got. Well, we would have got 2,400. I think that's how much we were. Yeah, I think we did get that, and then there were like some backed people like backed out like last
Right.
minute or whatever. But,
Yeah, that always happens.
yeah, I didn't know that actually happened until I was like, wait, what?
Right.
But like 2 of the 4 or 5 people that did that, they like were like, oh yeah, I'll just change my credit card or whatever. I'm like, oh okay. And then I still sent them that. Actually, one is still sitting here. I have to send to him, but because I didn't have his full
wow.
zip code. Yeah, he didn't like I don't have his full zip code. He like forgot a number in it. I was like, oh
Right.
okay. It was Art that was on our podcast like forever ago. He like gave me his address, and then I gave it to the lady at the post office. And she's like, you're missing a number for the zip code. I'm like, oh, guess he doesn't know where he lives.
Right.
But I gave like this stack of like the rewards. Like I put them all on the counter in the post office, and the lady next to her that's actually wearing a mask, she's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And she's like, what is that? I'm like there's shirts and comics, and she's like, what is that for? I'm like, oh, people that backed our Kickstarter. And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, that's only like 100 something. Like imagine like there's like people that get way more than that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these projects get over 30,000 pledges with like 600-700 people, and it's like, man, you would need a U-Haul to go to the post office. When I mailed you your comics for the Halloween tier that you did for Down by Contact, was sending them out. When I was there, you know how they ask you if it's media mail or whatever. And I told her, yeah, it's comic books. And she's like, oh, wow. And she's like processing it. I wound up staying there for like 15 minutes talking about the comics. I was like, I can go home and grab you one if you want. That was before all this happened. But
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. I mean, people love comics, man. I mean, even the ones that haven't read them, she was a much older woman, but she used to read comics when she was a kid. So she was really, intrigued by it and, started asking the questions.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I was gonna say when you're asking like what type of mail it was. I remember when I went to go ship something, and they told me that comics don't count as media. It's only like books and DVDs and stuff like that. And I was like,
it's a book.
Yeah, but apparently comic books don't count, and the reason for that is that the media discount, like for shipping, because it's a little bit less if it's media, apparently is for like the library kind of thing. It's meant to save somebody sending information, and so apparently that's the purpose behind it. And I was like, that's dumb.
Interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, because the other reason it's stupid is because you can send a fictional book, but you can't send a comic book. You know what I mean?
Right.
But apparently it's like meant like magazines don't count, for example. Like, so magazines don't fall under that media category, so they don't get the discount.
Wow. Just tell them that it's books. You don't have to say comic books.
I know. You just gotta, just be like, no, it's definitely a book.
Right.
Really,
but,
leave me alone.
They're thin paperback books. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, so sent that.
That's interesting. No, I never knew that, but wow.
Yeah.
Makes
we have our like old version of our shirts. They're basically the same as like if you get on our store on our website, but they were like actually screen printed. And Joe Vallon, him and his girlfriend, they both wanted one, so I shipped them to them. So they should probably get that today or like a couple of days ago. I don't remember.
Right.
But yeah, so
it depends. It depends how fast the post office is moving in each area.
Yeah, but nothing was wrong with the comics, like when you opened it or anything.
No, everything was good. Got my little stickers in there, and the swag.
Because there's one guy that was on our podcast, Kyron Silva, and he messaged me and he's like, "Well, I saw you used Ready Comics," and I was like, "Yeah, I might not use them anymore, just because like the quality, like the first comic that we printed, it looked great. Then maybe because they printed so many at a time, the quality like went down or something. I don't know, or like the file that they got wasn't the high def file, so I don't know."
That could have something to do with it, or their gloss. Like they might be using a different brand of paper.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if you look at my comic that I sent you, like the cover on it was made with, I got the high gloss and the good printing and everything, but that cover does seem and feel thicker than a lot of other comics. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Ready Comics, but because I use Comic Wellspring and I only produced and printed one. But I mean, when I called them, I told them I was really green and this is the first time I've ever done this. And like, they walked me through everything. I was on the phone with them for like 30 minutes and they just told me, how to set up the files and send it to them and everything. And the turnaround time on it was really fast too, which was really awesome. I mean, it was less than 10 days.
Yeah. Ready Comics was fast. It was more like their website is complete garbage. And
I know.
when you go on the website, they're like, "Oh, well, that's not what it's actually going to cost. You have to email us." And I'm like, "Why do you have a website?"
Everything that you should be.
Yeah, so then you email them, and then you figure it out. And then the girl that was emailing me, she's like new, and then she's like, "Oh, I messed something up with like shipping. Like I have to add like another like $160 or whatever it was." I don't know. I was like, "What?"
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, Jesus. So did that. But I don't know. Todd Rayner, he likes Ready Comics, but he likes it for the prints and like the other like type of stuff that they have. But Kyron was talking about using the one that you used, Wellspring, and Kablam. And I actually was gonna think of using Kablam anyway, because all you need to do is get like your tax ID and all the thing set up,
Yeah.
and then you upload like each comic that you want printed on there, and then and Covenant Comics I guess uses Kablam already, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I would use them. I'm like, okay. So.
Yeah, there's a couple of them out there. I mean, that was just the one that called me back because I had questions, and it was like, okay, well, I don't really know what to do here. I know how to set it up in a file to be printed, but I don't want to mess it up. And I wanted to make sure everything was all right and all that stuff. And then when I saved the PDF, it was some of the panels were in the wrong spots, and it seemed like I placed them in the right spot, but they weren't. So I wanted to make sure that everything was okay with that. And I just wanted to talk to a live person and get a little bit of coaching, and they helped me. So that's why I used them. Price wise, I mean, everybody was in, with the amount of comics that I printed, everybody was in 25 cents of each other. So it's not really a price thing. They're all around the same. Obviously, if you print more, it's going to be less money, but when you're printing in amounts of 100 and not 1,000, a 25% or a 25 cent difference between them, it's all about the service at that point.
Yeah.
But I also like that they offer a bunch of other things too with printing the stickers, the posters. I believe you can do T-shirts with them now. Every time I go on their website, because they're always sending me updates, every time I go on their website, they have a new service that they offer. So they're definitely growing and improving on everything that they can. But there's other good ones out there, and they have things and offer different perks too. So they're all worth checking out.
Yeah. But I want to like comic web store like set up on our site. So
Right.
I think if like we are able to use Kablam and like it would all work out, because Dylan was trying to think like, oh well, how would that actually work with like the linking and the. I'm like, I don't know anything about computers.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I would go with the same concept as Amazon. You could print them to order.
Yeah.
You can have them on on standby. Really, if you're gonna have different creators on there,
It's more
like
just
myself,
not.
I would just send you like 10 of them. That way, you can ship them out as people bought them.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like don't want to hold like an inventory somewhere, because just having that one box of comics like right there, it's like annoying me because I know it's there and it's in the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that's good about getting something printed and ready to order. But Amazon can do that. I'm sure a printing a place that specializes in comics could do it too. So
Well, we were trying to think of doing it through Ready Comics, but like it's actually more complicated than most people think. Like you
Right.
have to set up the website, and then you have to make like a back end into that.
Yeah, like for our merchandise, we have it set up through a company called Printify, and they have all of their stuff linked through our website. So essentially, if somebody buys something on our website, we don't even have to know about it. It'll all happen. And when it comes to Ready Comics, I basically described that methodology to them, and they're like, "Oh, we want to eventually do that." And I'm like, "Cool, like how far along are you?" And they're like, "Oh, we basically don't have any of that set up yet." So
Right.
because of that, we can, like, I can set up a store, but every single time there's a purchase, we'd have to manually be the one that input all the information. But the problem is that depending on where in the world they order, the shipping costs change drastically with the quantity and location for drop shippers like Ready Comics.
Right.
And because of that, we'd have to like go in and put information in for like every single major location and quantity of comics. So like that's something that you have to do for that.
The full-time job.
Yeah. Which, like, if I could figure out some, like, whatever their like algorithm is for determining cost for shipping, then it'd be easy. Like Printify originally, they had it so that unless you were paying for it, it wouldn't automatically calculate shipping. So I had to go through and manually enter it, but I actually found out that everything that they had on their site had, like, for each item, they had a cost for shipping one and a cost for every item added on top. Now, it costs a lot more than if you ordered it in bulk, regardless. Like, if you order 100, it doesn't matter. They're going to charge you one piece of shipping for each, more for the first one. but overall it'll be more expensive. So you don't really buy bulk from these guys. But the point is for 4 or 5 of them, that's what you would do is you'd pay that. So that was
That
easy.
makes
You just had to
sense,
put that into the system, and it would automatically calculate it for anyone buying stuff. But when
right.
it's variable on weight or variable on quantity, like I'd have to figure all that stuff out for every one of our comics on our platform, and I'm like, that's gonna take forever.
It's not going to be easy. I mean, the only other solution I could think of to it would be to have somebody else do it as their job, to actually hold the inventory and to ship it out. There's ways to there's like a I don't know what it's an app. You can go in and put the weight from a package from your zip code to another zip code, and you can gather an estimated price.
Well, yeah, I could do it if I was doing it. Yeah, that's the thing is I could do it if I was doing it. But the thing is that every company that sells something that ships it, they never charge exactly what the shipping would cost if you calculate it through UPS or USPS.
Right.
They always charge a little bit more in case there's like something with packaging or whatever the hell they got to add to it. And that's
Right.
what I can't figure out. And I don't want it so that if people are buying comics and if they buy the right number of it, we're actually paying money, and then we're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
getting any profit,
It makes sense what you're saying. There's a lot of issues with that. I didn't realize because I never tried to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and yeah, I was like asking the group for all the creators that are on our platform that's on Instagram, and I was like, oh, like what do you want like fixed on our website, or what would you like to see? And then like a couple people are like, oh, like a working search bar, and I'm like, oh, okay, well.
Which I didn't know was down, Greg, until you texted me like yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that wasn't working.
Oh wow.
And they're like, yeah, like, and then someone else said, if like you can group series together, so like let's say the Seer Chronicles, we have like 4 issues out, and you
Right.
can all like have that all in like one group. I could do that already. It's more of the fact of like you would just be reading it in one viewer. It wouldn't be like. You
Right.
could still categorize like the Seer Chronicles and Ink, so I could do that too. But
Yeah, it would be more of manual grouping, just have
yeah,
them there and all next to each other and like that, so you could read issues back to back. Yeah, I mean categories and stuff too. It's something that every time you go into a system like that and you change something around, it like glitches something else. It seems like that with any website. You know what I mean?
yeah. Or I like added like all the Velka comics that are on there by
Right.
some Ken Johnson, I think that's his name. And I don't know, I remember that. And they're like almost all in a row, like the same row. So you can
Right.
just keep going back and going to it. But maybe if there was like a YouTube type of suggestion thing, like, do you want to watch this next? And it would go to that. And you
Right.
could do that with a comic, like, oh, like you read that.
That's kind of why we made the author page too.
Yeah.
That was
So
something that I wanted to do. Was there's some people have like work different comics that are like near unrelated, and then some of them have multiple of the same comic series. And so
Right.
by going to like an author page, you can just see all of their work at once, which was nice.
that's actually, yeah, that was the point of the author page. Like, if you use that link, you would just bring people to your author page. So you're still bringing people to the site. It's just they're
Right.
going to your specific page. Some people still didn't know how to set that up, so I had to help them. But,
Right.
like this one guy that has Adventures of Dartman. I don't even think I have the second issue of that up yet, or I don't have the third one. I don't know. But he's like some dude from like New Hampshire, and he's like, yeah, I didn't even know anything about this author page. I'm like, well, I did like a post about it. So
Right.
yeah.
Pay attention next time. Right?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I was like saying that to the group too. Like, I was like, well, we were actually like the other day, like Friday or something. I was talking to a bunch of people in there because one person, the person I was talking about grouping like series together, he's like, yeah, I'm like having a problem like getting any views on my comics, and I'm like, yeah, your comics aren't bad, so like I don't understand. And he's like, yeah, like what am I doing wrong? And then like this other guy chimed in, and Monitor Comics. He has like a bunch of different comics on there. Some gender one, I don't know what it is. Gender vegan, I can't say that word. And yeah, and some other one. And it's really great art and everything. I just like manga. And he's like, oh yeah, you're just marketing. He's like more focused on YouTube, and I'm actually trying to like grow the YouTube thing, like smash that like button. But but
like and subscribe.
But yeah, he's doing that. Yeah. But so he's talking about YouTube, and then I'm talking about like marketing in general, and like this is what you should do and post every day. And then I actually got Gary V's $1.80 principle, and I put that link to that. I'm like, you guys just do all of this and it'll work. Like we have like 1,234 followers on Instagram right now, and it's because I've done that.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not like, and then there's people that message me things like, oh, like if you follow me, I follow you. I'm like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. I always think that, like, I have friends who do that too, that they have large followings, but I'm like, yeah, but none of your audience is like, your audience. It's just people that followed you because you followed them, or vice versa. It's like, you only follow people that give you quality. That's the reason why the people that have 8 million followers only follow 150 people. Like they're only following people that are bringing them value. It's like, you definitely, it's because the other thing too that people don't know or don't realize is that by wasting like your followers on fake followers, you actually dilute your spread of information. So say you have 1,000 people that follow you, but only like 600 of them are your real followers. The other ones are follow people. And you put a piece of content out there. Facebook / Instagram, it's the same company. They use an algorithm where they're like, okay, show this to 3 to 5% of their audience, right? But the problem is, if any of those 3 to 5% are the 400 who don't give a crap about you, you've just wasted your post. And like,
makes sense.
Yeah, and so like people like do that all the time, where they have like this huge following that don't care about them. And it's funny, I know that's real too, because there's people that I followed on Instagram that had huge followings, but they weren't posting frequently anymore. And then they like left Instagram altogether. I'm like, you don't just leave Instagram if you were making money or doing well on Instagram. It's probably because a huge chunk of their followers weren't real followers, so they weren't getting the engagement they were looking for. They weren't getting the responses or connections with people that they were looking for. Yeah. Like I get followers all the time that I look at their content, and if it's interesting, I'll like some of it, but even like I'm not going to follow it unless I'm like, holy crap! Like that's how it should be. And thinking that way, that's how you got to put content out there. You got to put content out there where you're like, I want it, so when someone stops by my page, like, I need to follow this person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's with my Twitter account, I have 1,900 followers, and I'd say probably 1,700 of them are real horror fans, and they retweet. I mean, anything I post horror related, or especially when I was doing Down by Contact. I mean, I had a lot of retweets under the hashtag, and it's because everybody was a horror fan, and I'm a horror writer. So that worked out really well. I've gotten a lot more recently, just comic fans, because I changed my Twitter around, and now a lot more comic book fans are following me. And like you said, if it's a dead account or spam account or whatever, you can pretty much tell right away by looking at their first 5 feeds. If they're a writer or an artist or something, they're putting some type of content out there. So that's all you have to really look for. I use Twitter more than Instagram. I'm trying to build up my Instagram. I've had it forever, but I probably have like 100 followers on it, and I'm following like 30 people. I just never really used it because as a writer, Twitter was an easier way to spread media. But now being more in the comic production and writing comics and everything, I definitely need to build that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say the easiest way to build that up is to just make a bunch of content one day, like a bunch of pictures. Like if you have your comic, take a picture of every panel, or like without the text, maybe with the text. Maybe it's the sketches of it as opposed to completely finished. And then colored versions of it. Make a bunch of those. Then you can make depending on like whatever your niche is. So like you do a lot of horror, so like you could have cool horror quotes. You could have, dates that you can go to Google, just look up days of the year, I think it's called, and there's like websites that'll tell you random days of the year, and just look up
Right.
ones, like look up when there's a Friday the 13th, and make sure you just post every day. And then, like Greg was saying, after you get a lot of content constantly flowing out there, which, by the way, for you and for anyone who ends up watching this later, if you don't want to have to be on Instagram all the time, Facebook finally released a web application that allows you to schedule out Instagram posts. So
wow, I didn't know that.
Which
Yeah.
every platform that tried to do that got banned, or the ability was removed. I was paying for a service at one point to allow me to do this, and even they got banned from it.
Was it
wow.
over?
Yeah, it's mostly because of that whole thing where when Facebook went to court with privacy, they basically, and it's not like it was relevant. It was just that they cracked down on everything, regardless if it affected the actual information or not.
Right.
Basically, if you go to business.facebook.com/creator studio, it allows you to schedule out Facebook posts and Instagram posts. And for Instagram, it lets you do feed and IGTV. So the stories you should obviously still do on your phone. That should be a day-to-day thing. The whole point is it's like, hey, I'm here, what's up? And then, later.
Right.
But the feed, if you've got like a bunch of comic stuff, you could just schedule that out for like a month. And then for like IGTV, you could shoot a video on your phone or a camera, upload it onto your computer, get it all set. And instead of having to download it on your phone just to upload it to IGTV, just go to that website and you can upload it right there. Add all your hashtags, add all your stuff you're looking to do.
That's really good information.
Yeah.
I was unaware of any of that. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
I know Hector said that he wasn't like a fan of that a while ago because he like scheduled certain posts to go out and it was like actually numbered, so it was like to count down to his Kickstarter or whatever.
Right.
And it like the third one came after the second one, so it was like misnumbered, and that thing did it like he numbered it the correct way, like just it posted weird, but that was probably a glitch at that time.
Right.
So I don't know. And I'm like, oh well, I don't want that to happen to me. So
Yeah, depending on the content you're sharing, if it comes out of order, it could create a problem.
If you're doing something like that where like it's a 5-day countdown or something, yeah, you can manually do that. But it's more like you want to ensure that you're always having content out there, and you can just make a bulk of it, make 100 of it. That's a third of the year. And then you can have all that scheduled out. And then what you can do is still add on top of that. So say, for example, like every single day you just have an image from your comic being posted, right? And then if you come up with a new idea, just post that today. It doesn't matter. You can post twice a day. Instagram gods aren't going to shun you, right? So that's perfectly fine. And then obviously you should always add stories. There was like a month where I didn't post anything to my feed, and I gained 100 followers just by being heavily active on my stories and engaging with other people's posts.
Right.
So it's definitely like the too many people think about like how can I get followers, but what you should think about is what would an account I would want to follow would do. That's what you want to do. Like you
target your target audience. Yeah.
Yeah, like you gotta think from their standpoint. Like for example, there's a show I watch on YouTube that has a video every single day. That way I can count on it. So when I'm like, I need to distract myself, let me watch
Philly D.
What?
Philly D.
Oh, Philly D is one of them. Yep. Hollywood Crowd is another one, right? So like, there's stuff like that I watch where like when it comes out, I know it's coming out daily. So because of that, I can count on that being there when I go to look for it, right? So the point is that if someone follows you and they're like, oh, I wonder what they did today, and they don't see you in their normal feed, they can confidently go to your page and be like, oh, they're going to have a post today because they have a post every day, right? So that's a big way to grow on YouTube in general, but that still works on all the other platforms, and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If they know that you're going to be posting every day, that like it's the what's it called? It's consistency, but it's the fact that they know that they can trust there's going to be something there. There's a word for that. I can't remember it.
I found the most successful blogs work the same way. I mean, if they're blogging on there every day and they're adding new content and not just, just rubbish, if there's actual real content up there that they're talking about that is that's, you know, cohesive with the topic, people are gonna follow it.
Yeah,
Continue to read it, whether they're reviewing movies or they're developing video games or whatever they're doing. Any type of news information, they're going to go right to their blog instead of trying to search it out in other ways.
yeah, that's the other thing too. I was gonna say that whether you've got like a group of people to write or it's just yourself, there's an author and a businessman, Seth Godin. He's like the grandfather of marketing, and he basically he has a blog that he's been writing a blog a day for like the last 13 or 14 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so that's the point is you can write every day, but his blogs could be a couple pages or like a couple sentences.
Right.
And so that's the thing is that, and you're right, like it needs to be good content, but I promise you, like his first blogs weren't good, like
Right.
they were probably okay, but even the best, the reason why he has such an amazing blog now and such profound thoughts on his blog is the fact that he's been writing every single day for 14 years.
Right.
So
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and so if you're looking to get on Instagram and you're like, oh, I don't know if that content's good, don't worry about that either. Like, post it because it's better than bad content. Or no content, bad content.
Right.
You just have content on there.
Have it related. Yep.
Yeah, I have like video ideas. I just need a tripod.
Right.
And it's like certain things. Probably a green screen or yeah, I think I need a green screen in order to do that. Like I would do like the news channel that's in our comics, like Seer Chronicles. Like I would do news updates like that. Like I would do that like at some point, like in the future.
Yeah, that'd be really cool too.
What?
In downtown Sear City.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Have a Sear City newspaper, Sear City Times.
We have a newspaper, actually second issue. You're probably one of the only people that know that. The second issue, the beginning of the second issue, and all of the other ones after that is going to have like the first 3 pages or something. It's going to be part of that like newspaper that's in the story.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it'll catch you up.
Yeah. It'll like you posted on. Yeah, it'll probably be like quick summary stuff from the original from the previous comic, as well as other stuff that's not in the comics, but it's related to stuff happening in the city. Because like if for example like say a bridge is out in one of our scenes, we might like mention that in the newspaper, like, oh, they're doing more construction on the whatever bridge,
right?
Because that it's closed, and later that might be relevant in a scene, which is yeah, we're thinking like 13 layers deep, which is awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man. The yeah, you can. It's basically a teaser.
Yeah.
A unique teaser of upcoming content, and also if somebody missed something, like the cat in the tree, oh, I didn't notice that, and then that directs more attention to other content in the Seer Nova universe. You can pretty much write about anything. If you need help with that, I can write a news story.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'll be actually writing real fake news.
Yeah, because that's the cool thing is that by doing little Easter eggs like that, at first some people might not even notice at all. But the whole point is like, here's a small example. Do you ever watch Dragon Ball Z, or do you know what it is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so do you
For
know?
years.
Yeah, do you know the it's over 9,000, right? That
Say
reference?
it again.
It's over 9,000. That reference.
Yes.
So like something fun that somebody who's a really big fan will know is that the original manga actually said 8,000, right? Now that's something super small and insignificant, but because there's a weird thing that exists in this universe, people that are really, really fans of it end up finding it eventually, right? Like that's the whole point, like the cat in the tree. It's like one of those things that they might, like most people might not register it, but the real fans are going to be like, wait, I've seen that before, right? And all of a sudden you've just given them more layers to dig into your universe. And now they're going to be more curious, thinking like, wait, what else are they hiding, right? Like,
Right.
and then they tell a friend like, oh yeah, it's us in this comic book universe, and like there's a cat, and they're like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, I have to show you all this other stuff first, right?
Right. Right.
Whole point. It's like it builds a lot more. Like again, that's like what I like to see. I like to be reading something. I like to be enjoying something, playing games, whatever, and find something where I'm like, oh, that's awesome, right? Like that's just those little things for the real fans that are dedicated or really diving into it. That actually something small that I just happened recently that I really like. I'm playing the newest Call of Duty, and for whatever reason, it pisses me off to no end. There's no game mode where it shows you like your death count. It only shows you your kill count. So you can't tell your kill death ratio in a game, which is annoying because like even team deathmatch doesn't do it. And the only point of that game is kills and deaths. It tells you kills and assists. But I'm leveling up this battle pass where you unlock stuff as you tier through it. And one of them is a watch your guy wears that shows your kills and your deaths.
Oh wow!
While you're playing, you can go, "What is it?" Yeah, nice, and go back to. And you make him trigger like he'll look up at the watch and then go back. And I'm like, yes, because there's so many modes where like I want to pause for a second. I'm like, what is my kill death ratio? And now I can actually pull it up and look at it. And I'm like, that right there was so cleverly inserted. I was like, that's brilliant.
I said for years that they wait, like when they launch their games, especially with like the automated generated spawn points, how it's different from like say Halo and other first person shooters. I mean, once you really get to know these maps and you figure those out, you could just jump squads and destroy them. But I always said that they launch these games, they wait to see what they messed up on, and then they add perks to fix them, whether they got to nerf a shotgun or they have to do something to make something more powerful or add fix a problem like this that people don't like. It's all part of the same thing, but it makes sense. I mean, when you add Easter eggs into any type of content, I mean, fans are going to look for more stuff. We love that stuff. Books, comics, video games, everything. I know I always have.
Yeah. For the game, I am still trying to figure out like quests to like make for the game, so I have no idea what to do. And then there's people that are like asking me like, oh, well, like what are you gonna do in the game? Like you have to like always do the quests. I'm like, no, you could like free roam and do stuff. Like there's no mindless killing, so that's like the one thing that I have to like figure out because I know people are gonna just want to do that. So
yeah, the way to pacify that is make it like the old Hulk games where you're just able to destroy some of the environment once you power up. Yeah, and then you have to find the interactive environments.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, for quests, it depends on the parameters of the game. You know, what all you're able to put in it.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that customizations will be the thing that'll get people over that. Like whenever you play something like Sims, for example, like you can't technically just go around killing people. Maybe in new ones you can, but basically you cause mayhem through other things. But the other thing that's interesting is just the ability to do a lot of customizations and things like that. Because the more unique you can make it, the more it becomes yours.
Right.
Yeah, like there'll be apartments that will be available at some point. It depends on how much funding we get out of the Kickstarter. Because there is
because everything you add into the game costs money.
Yeah, it added up pretty quick.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, there's this. Oh, and then there's this thing. It's like 1,000 something. I was like, what?
Yeah. It costs how much for me to wear a red hat? But it's still really awesome. I mean, indie games, and then you can add on to them and stuff. It's it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then there's this whole like create our universe thing, which I'm going to be doing soon again. Like I did the first one, and then people actually were like interested in that, but like I'm banned from Facebook groups, so I can't really do that at the moment. But people are like, wait, what? And then there's people like commenting multiple like things for like a soda or a beverage.
Yeah,
and a lot of them, and a lot of them were just commenting like multiple times and like, okay, well, you didn't read the rules completely because it said once, but yeah. So I'm gonna just take their like first one or like the best one and that they said, and then I would put that into the poll. So I'll have to make that. I have to put it through a spreadsheet, and then I have to like figure out which one would win. Well, I would have to figure out like a bunch of them, then put them into a poll like on Twitter and Facebook, and then whoever wins out of all of that, and on Instagram because you could do it on stories.
Like
Right.
meth cola.
What?
Use that idea.
Like
Yeah.
like the meth cola. It's like it used to have real meth in it. It might still have real meth in it.
Yeah, I saw that post. That's great. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Tiger King Cola.
What?
Tiger King Cola.
Disease that would come with.
With coming up ideas for the quest with the free roam that you're able to do, are you able to, I mean, with the parameters of what you can do right now, can you power up your character? Do you have ways designed for that?
So I said, can we, because anything I like ask him, it's going to be more money. So it's
Right.
like, so I was asking him to do a bunch of, I'm not a sports person at all.
Yeah,
Like,
you
I know,
up a lot on this.
yeah. So I'm not a sports person, but like Kyron actually messaged me. He's like, oh, I was like, yeah, like there'll be sports. He's like, what? Like baseball and football and stuff. And I'm like, So then I asked Scott, like, oh, can you make football? He's like, well, I have to figure out like the whole like
Mechanics.
mechanics stuff
Yeah.
for that. Basketball is kind of hard to do as a because it would be a basketball game within another game.
Right.
That
Right,
like
right.
I'm not just doing like the ball, like just a ball view and then going into a basket. It's literally like the person's dribbling and you see them dribbling like NBA, like 2K or something, and so it would be like all of that. So he would have to figure out all of that.
Yeah, we were on the call with our game developer, and it was pretty funny too, because we're focusing on getting the stuff built around the comic book scenes. So like one of the scenes is a dock with a bunch of shipping containers. So we want to make sure we know where that is on the map, so that we can make sure people get there. Because we were like, okay, this one guy's down by a river in a van, but there's another guy at a house across the river, and there's another guy downtown. How are they going to, like, where are they meeting that's going to be in a good spot? So we had to like make sure there's certain scenes that line up, which is perfect. Like this is going to eventually be enough that this is why we have the 3D. Like the whole point of the game originally was just to be a 3D rendition of the world. We just found out he was building it in a game development app, and we're like, oh, why don't we just turn it into a game? And so, like, basically, that like we wanted so that we have all that, and then we looked at an area, and Greg happened to mention sports. I'm like, oh yeah, we probably should at least set an area where there's an arena, so that later, like, we shouldn't go into it now, but we'll have it for later. And I'm like, all right, I got to get off the call. And then Greg, apparently for like an hour and a half, is picking out basketball jerseys. I'm like, geez, Greg, you're like getting a little into this. Like, wait later. We still got to build the rest of the city. You're building out like the stadium that's not even going to be referenced in the, several comics.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's like all that free roam stuff you can do. Is phone die or something? Oh, okay.
No, we lost him.
Huh. Okay. I'll figure that out.
Yeah, that went quick. I wonder if it died.
Probably. So I gotta get him back in quick. Photo. And then I gotta cut this out of the podcast.
No, I should leave this in the podcast.
Yeah. One day we'll actually be able to have people over in like a studio like Joe or something.
Well, I think for indie comics, we'll probably still have mostly video. We're not going. I don't think we're gonna be flying people anywhere as indie.
Oh no, yeah, like like if they were like local somehow, like depending on like where we were.
Yeah.
So let's say if I like took a trip to, if like I took a trip to like San Francisco when you were there, then we would be able to do that. But
yeah.
Come on, because I don't think I have Facebook open anymore. No.
Oh, by the way, did you see the Tea with Gary Vee I sent you? I think I sent you
I
one.
didn't watch that one. I think I was watching the beginning of it. But
You want to watch it because later on, like I was watching it live, and I don't know like what time it was in the video, but there was something very specifically I tagged you in there for. Like I knew it was like, oh shit, like that was super valuable. I know another time, I don't remember if it's the video I tagged you in or not, but there was another one where he was talking about the tea shop or a coffee shop that a lady wanted to open, and it was in reference to Glow wanting to open one with cats, right? But he mentioned like everyone's trying to open a coffee shop. You should try to get like a more unique thing, because if your goal is just to get people to gather around you, don't assume coffee shop's the only way to go. There's too many coffee shops already. It could be like watermelon juice or grapefruit, like everything grapefruit, grapefruit juice.
oh wait, I think I saw that part.
Yeah, so that was one of them. But there was another one I think the thing I tagged you in, though, I think was specific for you. But I don't remember what it was. I just remember that it was really like there, because some of them have been fucking gold mines. I'm like, God damn! I'm like, that's
It's
like,
just like random people that are like,
yeah, random
chat.
people. And I'm like you could sign up for it if you wanted to try to get in there. I was like cleaning my room when that was happening, so I just had it in the background. And I'm like, God damn! Like he's giving like multi-$1,000 advice right now, like multi-million-dollar for some people if they play it out.
Yeah.
Like there's one guy who he's selling toilet paper with like different people's faces on it, for example, right? Like President Trump's, right? Like because toilet paper is so big right now, that's really clever. And then he had something else that he was printing. I forgot what it was. It was something else that was funny. But that was funny because then Gary's like, yeah, like you should have, if you're doing Trump, then target Democrats, and then you should have one on the other side, like Biden, and have him, for Republican. And I'm like, thank God. I'm like, Gary, like that's why I love Gary. Like he doesn't give a fuck. It's business. He might have a belief, but he's not going to let that ever affect his business. That's the big thing. That's why I fucking hate companies like Apple right now who like use their fucking political belief to shape their company. And I'm like, you realize that's not how capitalism works, right? Like you're gonna collapse your company. Like like Facebook. Facebook could be way bigger right now if they weren't clearly blocking like conservative voices and promoting liberal voices that are clearly fucked up.
He hit the off button on his phone by accident.
How do you hit the off button?
I don't know. He was probably holding it and then he accidentally.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Get it back in.
Yeah, I gotta invite him back.
That's right.
That's hilarious.
We can do a quick closer and then call it in because it was an hour right when he ended, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
That's okay. We were talking about something else anyway.
I was gonna say we hit the hour mark anyways, so we can do like a quick little closer and make sure everybody knows where to find all your stuff, knows what to look for, knows where you want them to send them, and all that good stuff.
Well, I'm in the process of coming up with building a website where you can get all my content. Right now, just follow me on Twitter at Myers Comics, and my Facebook page, my horror page is called The Open Casket. Just search it. It's got vintage horror logos on it. It looks really cool. And while I get another website built up, like the last one I had was really good, but it got buggy, and I want to use a different platform other than Wix. So
Yeah, that's good.
with that for right now, I'm gonna have announcements about the Marvel's the Cat Kickstarter relaunching, and I'll have the Chronicles of Horror Script done for you by the end of this week. So you can take a look at that and we'll figure out the plan for that. So
Yeah.
all this is exciting. Just dealing with everything in quarantine is what it is. So it was always awesome talking to you guys, and I'll definitely be on here again. Sorry about the cancellations last time, but now I don't have to go to work. So we're good.
No worry. And what's your Instagram handle so everyone knows where to find that? Because we need to grow your Instagram for you.
That's Down by Contact. Contact with a K. DOWNBYKONTACT. You can see images of my comic on there, and I'm going to be working on that as later this week as well.
Definitely. We'll try to send some people your way.
All right. I appreciate it. All right. Always awesome talking to you guys, man. Have
Same.
a good one.
Yeah, you too.
All right. See you later.
Bye.